Good evening and welcome in to Southern Ohio Sports Authority's weekly presentation of Ohio High School Friday Night Football. Tonight, we're set up here at Earl Knight Field as the Huntington Huntsmen are set to host the Southeastern Panthers in tonight's matchup. Hi, everybody. I'm DC Daly. Joining me tonight, Brian Smith. And, you know, Brian, two teams here. Southeastern sitting at 1-4, Huntington 2-3, both 0-2 in the SVC. So, you know, really somebody's walking out of here tonight with the league win. Somebody's walking out 0-3 in the league as well. We should be in for a good matchup tonight. We've talked pregame that on paper this should be a pretty competitive matchup between these two teams. I believe you do have written down the offensive and defensive averages for both teams, and you know, what do those look like in regard to how similar they are?
Well, I have a few things here. Huntington comes in offensively averaging 14.8 points per contest. Defensively, they give up 34.8 points per contest. Southeastern comes in at 18.4 points per game. So, again, we're close there. And defensively, we're even closer with Southeastern giving up 34.4 points per clip. Now, here's something interesting that we kind of need to look at. And again, it's about matchups, and sometimes those things don't matter. But Huntington did beat Eastern 14-7. Well, Southeastern beat Eastern 40-22. Here's kind of the kicker, Dewey. Huntington beat Northwest 46-22, which we covered last week, and you know, with Northwest beating Valley. But Southeastern had Northwest, I believe, week 1 and lost 33-0. So again, when you start looking at this stuff on paper, you said, hey, this should probably be a close game. And on paper it should be, but we're going to see what happens and then go from there, Dewey.
Well, you know, obviously, like you said, you know, it's week 6, so a lot can change from week 1 in regard to, you know, how well the team meshes together, and, you know, you maybe add a few things. Although I think I speak for a lot of people in the area when, you know, you say Southeastern probably not going to change much, as it seems like they've been running a pretty similar offense for the last few years out at Southeastern. So once again, Southeastern coming in at 1-4, 0-2, coming off of a 30-14 loss up against Westfall. The only stat from that game we have is Caleb Cutright, who had 23 carries and 118 yards for a touchdown. For Huntington, it was a 49-6 loss at Zane Trace. We don't have any Huntington stats from that game, but obviously only 6 points for the Huntsmen that game. So offensively, you know, they just weren't able to get a whole lot going. But hopefully tonight both teams able to put up a fight here, and we have a pretty competitive match here in week 6 of this OHSAA season.
Well, and you talk about that earlier. You know, Circleville was also a common opponent that Southeastern and Huntington had. And you know what? Southeastern came within a score with Circleville earlier on in the year. So they scored 14 against Westfall. So, you know, you talk about I talked about the Northwest matchup, but then again, Southeastern at times is playing really good football. So, again, we may have a close game here.
So a squib kick down the middle for the Huntsmen. On the return was Corbin Leisure. I believe he stumbled and his knee touched the ground right around the 30-yard line, which is where the Southeastern offense will start things off for us tonight.
Well, I'll tell you, Dewey, we talk about a lot of ball control. I think both teams here with Huntington and Southeastern are going to do a lot of running. Obviously, they don't pass the ball a lot, but they will run a lot. So we're going to see that clock go by pretty quickly.
So Pfeiffer going to hand it off. I believe that's McCorder up the middle. And he's got some room to run across the 50. And I believe he'll end up stepping out on the Huntsman 40-yard line. A big first play for Trustin McCorder. And that gets the Panthers on the Huntsman side of the field.
Not before a Panthers first down. Panthers will have it 1st and 10 at the Huntsman.
Dewey, it looked like McCorder was down there for just a second. He just kept on his feet and just kept churning the feet and made a really nice gain there.
Yeah, I believe it was actually about a 28-yard run for McCorder, able to get once again in the Huntsman side of the field. 4 receivers set here for Southeastern. It's going to be McCorder again right up the middle. And from here, it looks like he has another Panther first down. Either that or a second inches. And we do have a Huntsman down on the field. They are going to give McCorder the first down. So 2 plays, 2 first downs for Southeastern. Panthers coming out of the gate swinging.
Well, McCorder, 5'10", 200-pound back, really strong back for Southeastern. Really keeps the legs moving. Does a really nice job. And so far, Huntington hasn't had an answer for him in the first 2 runs, picking up almost 40 yards on 2 totes.
Well, I mean, you know, we're familiar with big guys that, you know, may not run a 4.4 40, but, you know, like with Brackman last week, you know, he's just a tough guy to bring down. He carries guys on top of him, and, you know, when it takes 2 or 3 guys to bring you down, you know, you're going to get a lot of yards per carry, and obviously that's a lot more effective in the red zone, but McCorder, you know, about 2 carries for close to 40 yards already. So a great start to the game for the senior. Yeah, I mean, I think Brackman was about 5'11", 230. So McCorder obviously a little smaller, but still 5'10", 200 pounds on the roster. I mean, that's a tough guy to bring down.
Well, we talked last week while we was at Valley with Northwest and Wyatt Brackman, and again, McCorder is obviously a little bit smaller, but runs kind of the same as Wyatt Brackman last week. Just a strong back, keeps the legs moving, and next thing you know, I mean, he's got 2 totes for roughly 38 yards. So
this time it looks like it's going to be Ryan Peters on the carry for the Panthers. Doesn't look like he picked up much on the play. Looks like it'll bring up a 2nd and 10. Well, after 2, you know, big plays for Southeastern, Huntington finally able to make a stop on defense. Still 2nd and 10 now. We'll see what the Panthers can do here. A 4-receiver set, going to be trips to the left for Southeastern.
Well, do I think we might see another steady diet of McCorder?
No, and this time it's going to be Pfeiffer pulling it away. He's got some room to run down the right sideline, and he's out just short of the goal line.
11, Joey Pfeiffer on the keeper.
Well, dude, I have to be honest. They faked me out up here.
Yeah, Pfeiffer pulled it right away from McCorder and picked up roughly 30 yards, and now
Panthers will have it 1st and 10 at the Huntsman.
Looks like they're going to mark him right around the 7.
Well, I think the Huntsmen were probably thinking what I was. Hey, give the ball to McCorder again, and next thing you know, Piper's running, and really, Huntsman didn't have an answer for that one.
I believe that was a direct snap to the fullback. I'm not 100% sure who it was. It may have been McCorder once again.
32, Trustin McCorder on the carry.
And you would be correct in saying so.
So pick up a 3 or 4 on the play. 2nd and goal for the Panthers.
Well, so far, the Southeastern Panthers are running the ball really well. Looks like they're controlling the line of scrimmage at this point, Dewey.
Well, you know, and they do air it out a little bit, but, you know, when you have McCorder running like he is and, you know, Pfeiffer running how he is, there's no need. Is Pfeiffer just going to keep it himself, diving ahead? I believe he came up just a bit short.
Pfeiffer on the keeper.
Maybe a yard or 2 on the play. Looks like they're going to mark him right around the 1, so it'll be 3rd and goal from the Huntington 1-yard line.
Looks like he got about 3 yards out of that. From up here, it looked like maybe a yard, but
it didn't look like much from up here, but about a yard left here for Southeastern. I would expect Pfeiffer probably to keep it again. Quarterback sneak right up the middle. We have a flag on the play. Pfeiffer reaching over the goal line, and he's in for the Panther touchdown. But I believe we're going to have a penalty on the Panthers. That'll move them back.
Play results in a Panthers touchdown. There is a flag on the play.
That'll take the touchdown off the board.
The penalty is assisting on the offense.
So they're pushing
repeat 3rd down.
Pfeiffer forward over the goal line. Going to be a 5-yard penalty.
Well, Dewey, they called that, and we wasn't sure what was going on there. And of course, they signaled assistance, so they move them back 5 yards, and it looks like it's 3rd and...
It's going to be 3rd and 6 here. A 3rd and goal from the 6. 3 receivers to the left for the Panthers. Pfeiffer gonna hand it off to McCorder. He's wrapped up in the backfield and taken down. No gain on the play once again. Huntington making a red zone stand here. That'll bring up 4th and goal from around the 6-yard line. I would expect Southeastern probably gonna go for it here, try to get into the end zone, but instead.
Yeah, Dalton Black, a senior for the Huntsman, number 70, made a big play on McCorder on that particular play.
So Coach Blair going to take a timeout here with 8:41 to go in the opening quarter of tonight's matchup. Well, you know, Southeastern kind of gashed their way down into the red zone. Really, I really believe Pfeiffer probably gets in there without any assistance. He did get stood up, you know, at the beginning of the play, but you know, he kind of rolled off towards the end and ended up making his way in. But really once, you know, after the Pfeiffer 25, 30-yard run, they really haven't been able to get much going as, you know, the red zone defense from here from Huntington's been pretty stout.
Well, I'll be honest, Dewey, I thought they got away from McCorder a little bit, you know, down in, you know, inside the 5. I thought we'd see a little more steady die to him with just being a physical back, which he did carry it once for a gain of no gain,
yeah, not
actually.
a whole lot.
But they kind of got away from that. I was a little surprised, especially at that point. I thought, well, we're going to see a steady die to number 32, and when we didn't. So I was a little surprised by that from the Panthers.
High formation here for Southeastern. Peters and McCorder in the backfield. Pfeiffer going to throw, airing it out into the end zone, looking for number 2, Travis Chenault, who comes up with the catch but is out of the back of the end zone. It'll be an incomplete pass, almost a great play, and a great pass from Pfeiffer to Chenault, but Chenault just not able to find his way in the end zone. And that'll be a turnover on downs for Southeastern, a great defensive stop by the Huntsmen.
I'll tell you what, that's big for the Huntsmen. Southeastern brings the ball right down the field, and they stand up defensively and stop the Panthers.
Well, you know, from up here, and it's obviously a lot harder to see, you know, the back line from up here, but it, you know, it really looked like Chenault was able to get his feet in, but the back judge just signaled he was out of bounds, and be a turnover on downs. Huntington will take over around their own 6. So we'll see what the Huntsmen can do here with 8:33 to go in the first quarter. It's going to be a run to the right side. It's number 2, Quentin Puckett, on the carry.
Quentin Puckett on the carry for the Huntsmen. Brought down on the play by number 87.
Looks like maybe Puckett got a yard, Dewey. What do you think?
Well, not a whole lot. Maybe a couple feet gained on the play. Going to be a 2nd and long 9 here for Huntington.
And again, for Huntington, I think we're going to start seeing a steady diet of DJ Crocker, a big, strong back. Kind of runs hard like McCorder. So we could see that as well. The offenses are pretty close to the same, so we're going to see a lot of that.
Here, run to the left side. Like you said, Crocker across the 25, a first down for Huntington. We don't have many stats from the Huntsmen, but one we do have is back from that win against Northwest. Crocker actually, the Southern Ohio Sports Authority SVC Athlete of the Week, following he had 20 carries for 232 yards and 3 touchdowns in that win against Northwest. So, I like you said, I believe Crocker probably going to be a big part of the Huntsman game plan here tonight. Crocker once again straight ahead. Looks like he's got about 6 or 7 on the play. Should bring up a 2nd and 3. Crocker gets up, limping a little bit.
Correction, 73, Landon Ramey.
Well, I can tell you one thing, SOSA fans.
Limping a lot, actually, as Crocker comes off the field for the Huntsmen.
And I can tell you that would be a big blow for the Huntsmen, like you said, athlete of the week against Northwest with over 200 yards rushing. That's big for the Huntsmen. Let's hope he's healthy. And
once again, going to be somewhat of a fullback dive for the Huntsmen. It was 2nd and 4.
21, Bryce Coon on the carry for the Huntsman.
It was Bryce Kahn on the carry.
Panther line.
Brings up about a 3rd down and 1 to go.
3rd and 1 at their own 34-yard line.
Been a pretty quick quarter so far already. Down to 6:05 left here in the first quarter. This time to the right side, it's Potter taking him by himself, cuts it back to the left and up the middle. He's taken down right around the 45-yard line. A new set of downs for Huntington as they enter Panther territory.
But not before a Huntsman first down. Huntsman will have it 1st and 10 at the Panthers' 44-yard line.
Well, Dewey, I was going to say earlier, SOSA fans, if you blink, this game might be over because the clock continues to run with all the running. No passes. Well, just the one pass so far in the end zone for the Panthers. So
Potter hands it off straight ahead. That's Kahn. It looks like he's got about 4 yards on the carry. Should bring up roughly a 7 and 6, 2nd and 7 here for Huntington.
21, Bryce Coon on the carry for the Huntsman. Leading the charge for the Panthers, number 15, Ryan Peters.
So 2nd and 7 from the Southeastern 41. Now under 5 minutes to go here in the quarter. Potter hands it off to the reverse play. It's blown up in the backfield. That was Leech looking for the end around for the Huntsmen.
Brought down for a loss by number 87, R.J. Cartwright of the Panthers.
Big play there by Cartwright, able to get in the Huntsman backfield, make a play. Brings up a 3rd down and 10.
the Panthers did a nice job of sniffing that one out and got Leech in the backfield.
Two receivers to the top of the screen here for the Huntsmen. Potter, a bubble screen to the left side. That's number 11, Braylon Leech, once again taken down. No gain on the play. And that'll bring up a 4th down and 10.
Number 11, Braylon Leech. He's brought down on the play by number 87, R.J. Cartwright.
I'd say probably in your best interest
Scioto of the Panthers
to go ahead and boot this one away. Try to pin Southeastern deep in their own territory. It looks like that's what the Huntsmen are going to do.
Deep to punt for the Huntsmen. Number 1, Gage Scioto, deep to return for the Panthers.
And it looks like we're going to have a Huntsman timeout with 3:27 to go here in the opening quarter, of the opening quarter of tonight's matchup. Well, kind of two similar possessions here for both teams. You know, Huntington started off strong. They even lost Crocker back around their own 40 and was still able to move the ball about 25, 30 more yards quite effectively, and then, you know, just kind of stalled out here at the Southeastern 44. Obviously for Southeastern, they were able to get a lot deeper into Huntington's territory, you know, around the 5, 6, 7 yard line. But neither team, or really both teams, have started off their drives hot, but, you know, just kind of stalled out to the end. Most likely going to see a Huntsman punt here. And I'd say Southeastern probably looking to start their drive off. Well, I can't really say because I don't know what kind of punter Huntington has, so.
But we're probably looking at inside the 20, depends on the punt return. Dewey, we're kind of looking at two very, very similar teams here as far as schemes, what they're trying to do offensively, what they're trying to do defensively.
Cheadle back deep for the Panthers, signals for the fair catch, and he'll bring it down. Looks like
punt, fair caught by Gage Cheadle.
Right around his own 15, so a good punt for the Huntsmen.
Well, Dewey, I'm
The Panthers will take
I'm kind of wondering if Southeastern says, you know what, we're going to get back to number 32 McWhorter and see what he can continue to do. I mean, again, he has 4 carries for about 41 yards. So I kind of look and expect for Southeastern to get back to that, if I'm being honest.
So 1st and 10 here. They spotted the fair catch right at the Southeastern 16-yard line. Pfeiffer going to keep it himself, trying to find some room. But it looks like he's taken down right around the line of scrimmage. We have a flag on the play.
11 Pfeiffer on the keeper.
Looks like we're going to have a face mask on the Huntsman. That'll move the Panthers up 15 yards to their own 31.
Initial indication is a face mask on the Huntsman.
So no yards gained on the play, but a 15-yard gain here for Southeastern.
Face mask on the Huntsman. That's a 15-yard penalty. Going to result in a first down. The Panthers will have it 1st and 10 at the Huntsman at their own 31-yard line.
That's one way to get out of inside your own 20. Just draw a face mask and get marked right on the 31-yard line here. 1st and 10, just under 3 minutes to go here in the first quarter. Pfeiffer in the gun, and he'll hand it off to McWhorter, who's got some room to the left side, cuts it back up the middle, and he dives across the 40-yard line. Looks like he's got another Panther first down.
32, Trustin McWhorter on the carry.
Well, I'll tell you, Dewey, we talked about McWhorter being a pretty stocky back, but you know what? He has a pretty nice burst of speed there.
Well, when you're 5'10", 200 pounds, having a little bit of speed will go a long way, as you're already going to be tough to go down, but you get some momentum going downhill, and you're more or less unstoppable. I say that, McWhorter stopped in the backfield. Looks like he'll lose a yard or two on the play.
Yeah, Dalton Black with another big stop, running into McWhorter there for a loss of 2 for McWhorter and the Panthers.
So that'll bring up a 2nd and 12 from their own 41. Right at the 2-minute mark. In what has been, in actual time, only about a 20-minute game. Once again, going to be McWhorter. He bounces it out to the right side and may have just about gotten back to the original line of scrimmage. Looks like that'll bring up a 3rd down and 9.
32, Trustin McWhorter on the carry.
Well, you know, we talked pregame about, you know, maybe what we thought the score was going to be, how high of a, you know, if it was going to be a high-scoring game or not. And one point that was made was, you know, both of these teams pretty run-heavy. If they stay in bounds and, you know, punt it back and forth a little bit, it's more or less going to be a running clock here. Stopped right around the line of scrimmage. That was number 6, Caleb Cutright on the carry. That'll bring up a 4th down and 10. Most likely force a Panther punt here with now under a minute to go here in the first quarter.
And once again, Dalton Black with another defensive stop for the Huntsman.
Quentin Puckett back deep for the Huntsmen. What can't Trustin McWhorter do? Back to punt for Southeastern. Puckett catches it around his own 30, across the 40. Puckett with some room to run across the 50, down the sideline. Puckett breaking away. And he's brought down just short of the 10-yard line. A great return by Quentin Puckett. And that puts the Huntsmen in the red zone here with 20 seconds to go in the quarter. Now you can't ask for a much better return from your return guy than that. It was blocked extremely well. Puckett actually sheds a few tackles, you know, outruns a couple of guys down the sideline and just kind of gets shoelace tackled right at the 11-yard line. Straight ahead, that's going to be number 21, Bryce Kahn on the carry.
Bryce Kahn on the carry. Tripped up by the Panther line.
And it looks like That's going to take us to the end of the first quarter here in the township, the TWP. We'll take a quick break. You're watching Ohio High School football right here on Southern Ohio Sports Authority, presented by OhioHealth.
At OhioHealth, you can see your doctor here or here, on this or on these. And no matter if you're over here, over there, or anywhere in between, you'll feel good knowing OhioHealth provides the finest care anywhere. Schedule care today at ohiohealth.com/finestcare.
Hey, Mike Glockner here from the Glockner family of dealerships. Want to wish all the fall sports athletes a very safe and successful year. Good luck.
We welcome you back in here to Earl Knight Field here at Huntington High School. Just getting ready to kick off the second quarter of action here in tonight's SVC League matchup. 2nd down and 4. Cone actually picked up a little more on that last play than I originally thought.
Got 6 yards, do he?
Confused why a second has already run off the clock before the ball is snapped. Either way, straight ahead. I believe that was Cone once again on the carry.
Cone on the carry, brought down by the Panthers interior line.
About a yard gained on the play.
I couldn't tell who that was. Was that Cone?
Yeah. It gets tough to get numbers once they get down in the trenches and go fullback dive. Although with the green and white number jersey combo, it is a little easier to make out numbers. Potter going to keep it himself to the right side and across the goal line for the first touchdown tonight. That gives the Huntsmen a 6-point lead here with 11:17 to go here in the second quarter. About a 4-yard run for Potter.
I'll tell you what, that hole was wide open for Potter. Potter did a nice job of
you know, it looked like it was an option play. I'm not sure. It may have been Puckett who was the back that represented the option, but well, Brian, it looks like you may have lied to me here about the PATs. Looks like Huntington going to take a timeout.
Timeout, Huntsman, that's their second timeout. First half.
I wasn't sure, you know, not everybody kicks PATs. Some people, you know, you look back to Piketon last year, you know, you go for 2 every time. You just figure you can at least get it every other time, and it pays off. You know, you get it 2 out of 3 times, then you're ahead a little bit. But as of now, it doesn't look like Huntington going to attempt an extra point, try to get to 2 and take an 8-0 lead.
I'll tell you, the Huntsman lines, offensive line's doing a really good job, opening some holes for the running backs, and Potter just happened to find that on that 4-yard touchdown run.
So although I'm not a coach, I'd say it's probably one of the most infuriating things to have to burn a timeout on a PAT, especially in a game that, you know, now here we are about a minute into the second quarter, and it's only a 6-point margin. Looks like the Huntsmen gonna try to go for 2 here. Potter under center, 2 men in the backfield. That's Cone as well as Puckett. And Potter gonna keep it himself once again. And he's in
He's
for
in.
the 2-point conversion. That gives the Huntsmen an 8-0 lead here in the second quarter. We'll take a quick break. You're watching Ohio High School Friday Night Football right here on Southern Ohio Sports Authority, presented by OhioHealth.
Michelle and her dad. Decades of dares. 1 month of learning to jump. First day doing it solo. And 2 years since starting cancer treatment at OhioHealth.
This broadcast is brought to you in part by Willie & Son Trucking. Willie & Son Trucking has been a proud supporter of local student-athletes, coaches, and athletic programs throughout its history. Be sure to look out for the Shack Athlete of the Week, presented by Willie & Son Trucking, each week at SOSAOhio.com.
4-yard rushing touchdown, as well as a 2-point try by Noah Potter, gives the Huntsmen an 8-0 lead here with 11:17 to go in the second quarter. Southeastern gonna look to answer here. 2 possessions, 2 punts so far for Southeastern. Actually, the first possession wasn't a punt, it was a turnover on downs in the red zone. On the return, it's number 87, RJ Cartwright, who's tackled just across the 40-yard line, which is where Southeastern going to look to put together a drive here and get on the board for the first time today.
At their own 43-yard line.
And, you know, this really could very easily be an 8-8 game. I assume Southeastern probably goes for 2 every time as well, unless they have a solid kicker. We don't know yet. But the touchdown pass that was negated because Chenault was out of the back of the end zone, you know, it looked close from up here. I'd say on the field it was close as well, as the Panthers are stopped in the backfield here. That'll bring up about a 2nd down and 12 here from their own 41.
Again, Dalton Black, number 70 for the Huntsman, with the tackle once again.
So 2nd and 12 here for Southeastern. Pfeiffer in the gun. He'll hand it off to Cartwright on the sweep. And it looks like he'll get to right around the 45-yard line. Should bring up about a 3rd down and 8 for Southeastern.
Brought down on the play by number 74, Morgan Brunheiser, and number 2, Quentin Puckett of the Huntsman. Going to bring up a 3rd and 8 for the Panthers from their own 45-yard line.
Do we see a pass here? I mean, at some point, he might.
You read their mind. A screen pass to the left side. Looking for Stansberry, who I believe at one point went to Huntington, if I'm not mistaken.
And you would be correct there. I believe Jackson Stanberry transferred out to Southeastern last year, but again, did obviously go to Huntington at some point.
So the incompletion will bring up a 4th and 8 for Southeastern. McCorder set to punt Puckett back once again. We'll see if Puckett can replicate his first return that put Huntington in the red zone. He's going to receive it right around the 20. And Puckett with some room to run to the right side. He's breaking away. There's a flag on the play, but Puckett in a foot race down the sideline, and Puckett in for the touchdown, an 80-yard return for Puckett. But I got a feeling this is most likely coming back.
Well, I'll tell you, Dewey, Puckett had a right around a 55-yard punt return last time, and this time finds a hole and goes to the end zone. But like you said, I think this one is coming back, and it does appear that that's probably the case.
Although we haven't had an official ruling yet, I'd say it's probably a hold on the Huntsman or a block in the back, one of the two. Well, we know it's against Huntington, that's for sure, as they're being moved back deep into their own territory. Looks like it's going to be on their own 15-yard line.
10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. The Huntsmen will take over 1st and 10 at their own.
I'll tell you what, though, Puckett took off. Unfortunately for him, looked like we had a holding call here, so.
Two men in the backfield here for the Huntsmen, but before that, we're going to have a Southeastern timeout. That's their second of the half with 9:30 to go here in the second quarter. If you're just now joining us, it's a 4-yard touchdown run as well as a 2-point conversion try for Noah Potter. Got Huntington out to an 8-0 lead. Before that, it was a near touchdown drive for the Panthers. Chenault just a bit out of bounds on the touchdown reception, and then a punt for both teams. I believe that covers every drive of the game so far. Huntington with, I think, a 3-and-out on this last drive, and now set up around their own, well, not around their own 15, right on their own 15. So we'll see if the Huntsmen can extend their lead here with 9:30 to go in the second quarter.
Again, Dewey, I think we're going to see another steady diet of running, obviously, with what Huntington does scheme-wise. Does a nice job, runs a wing tee. I look for Potter to do a little bit more of the options. Obviously, he scored on a 4-yard touchdown run that way, so I think we'll see a lot of Potter. The Cone kid runs the ball really well for the Huntsmen.
Well, and here's the thing. They're up 8-0, and they only got about 2 offensive plays out of DJ Crocker. It's going to be a pitch to the left side with some room to run. Cut back to the middle. It's number 11, Joey Pfeiffer, or excuse me, wrong roster. That's number 11, Braylon Leech on the carry.
And picks up the first down for the Huntsman. Braylon Leech, like what, probably 10 or 11 yards roughly doing.
So that'll be a new set of downs for Huntington. Like you said, right at their own 27-yard line here. Looks like the same formation for the Huntsmen with Potter under center. And he'll hand it off straight ahead. No, he's actually got it himself. Fooled me that time across the 40-yard line. Back-to-back first down plays here for Huntington has them right on their own 40.
About a 13-yard scamper there for Potter. And he fooled us both, Dewey.
I thought for sure Cone had the ball, and Potter, a good play there. If he hands that ball to Cone, it's about a yard gain or no gain at all. So new set of downs here. 1st and 10 for Huntington from their own 40. Looks like the same formation. Potter going to keep it again to the left side. Looks like another option. He'll keep it himself, and it looks like Potter has another Huntington first down. Actually, I say that, and it looks like they're going to mark him maybe just short.
Maybe a few inches shy. Obviously really close. Yeah, and they're going to. Just
about 2nd and inches here for the Huntsmen. Line to gain was right on the 50. And they've got him at about the 49 2/3 here. A little bit of miscommunication in the backfield. Looks like Potter's still able to pick up the first down. Looks like Cone and Potter maybe not on the same page there. Either way, a first down for Huntington. That gets them onto the southeastern side of the field with 7:45 to go here in the second quarter.
Huntsman will have it 1st and 10 at the Panthers' 49-yard line.
Well, I talked a little bit ago, Dewey, about Potter possibly keeping the ball and running some. And so far during this drive, he's picked up a couple first downs for the Huntsmen. This time Cone with the carry for maybe, it doesn't look like he got any yards there, Dewey.
Well, it looked like he ran into the back of one of his own linemen, and that stalled him a little bit. Tried to bounce it to the outside, but nice gang tackling by Southeastern. They're able to bring him down right around the line of scrimmage. So that'll bring up a 2nd and 10. Tell you what, 2 men in motion. That's going to come back for the Huntsmen down the sideline.
11, Braylon Leech.
That's Braylon Leech, but unfortunately had 2 guys in motion, so I believe that'll move them back 5 and bring up a 2nd and 15.
5-yard penalty makes it 2nd and 15 for the Huntsmen. From the Panthers.
Oh, you know, and
26-yard
we've
line.
seen a bit of miscommunication for Huntington really on the last 3 plays, I would say. You know, the one time able to pick up the first down, second time no gain on the play, and this time, although about an 8-yard gain, they're moved back because of the illegal motion. It looks like the Huntsmen going to take their 3rd and final timeout of the first half.
Well, it looked like right there, Dewey, Potter was trying to draw Southeastern.
Yeah, it looked like a bit of a hard count.
Yeah, he definitely was trying to do a hard count there. Didn't get that done. So Coach Yates calls his 3rd and final timeout of the half for the Huntsmen. And so far, Dewey, we have a pretty close ball game. You know, we kind of joked about before the game, you know, hey, let's have some fun. Pick, you know, what's the over and under on some of these games just to have a little bit of fun. And you know, so far, low-scoring game with 2 squads that are giving up over 34 points a game. So maybe not what we thought we would see,
Well,
but it's
giving up, you know, you're giving up 34, but what were the averages again? About 13 and 14.
Offensively for Southeastern, they were about 18 points a game,
18.
and for Huntington, it was 14. So,
Okay.
But again, Huntington started off with what I believe Zane Trace and Unino to be obviously the top 2 teams,
Right. And
at this point.
And, you know, Carson, who's here running the camera for us, as usual, was telling us, you know, it's going to be tough sledding here for the Panthers rolling into the second half of the season. After this game, it's Piketon, and then I'm not sure the order, but it's, you know, to some tune, Unioda, Paint Valley, and Zane Trace is the final 4 games for the Panthers.
11, Braylon Leech on the carry for the Huntsmen. Brought down on the play by number 60, Gabe Davis. Number 15, Ryan Peters of the Panthers, but not before a Huntsman first down.
Braylon Leach on the carry for the Huntsman for another Huntsman first down.
First down run will put him right at the Panther 38-yard line with just under 6 minutes to go here in the second quarter of tonight's SVC League matchup. In motion, it's Leach. He'll be the ball carrier across the 45. He's got some room to run. And he's taken down just across the 25-yard line. That'll be good enough for another Huntsman first down.
But not before another Huntsman first down. Huntsman will have it 1st and 10 at the Panthers' 24-yard line.
Braylon Leach starting to get hot for the Huntsman. About 25 yards in his last 2 totes. A couple first downs for the Huntsman.
Well, we've seen them try to run that. You know, it's not exactly an end-around play. It's more of a modified jet sweep with Leach. First time they ran it was blown up in the backfield for about a 2 or 3 yard loss. I believe the next time was about no gain on the play, but the last few times it's been pretty effective for Huntington. And it looks like it's going to be the same play here for Huntington. It looks like he's more or less tackled by his own teammate on the carry.
11, Braylon Leach on the carry, brought down on the play by number 2, Travis Chennault.
About a 4 yard, 5 yard gain on the play for Leach. That should bring up a 2nd down and 5.
So far, the Panthers not able to stop this running attack of the Huntsmen so far.
Only when they've got in the red zone is about the only time that, obviously, they forced 1 punt so far. But it's tough for your defense when you come out onto the field and the offense is already inside the 15 because of the great punt return by Puckett. Obviously, this time, Huntington having to put together what would end up being about a 70, or excuse me, it would be a an 85-yard drive here. Can't do math here on this Friday. 4:33 to go here in the second quarter. Looks like Huntington going to get back in the huddle here. Only 15 seconds left on the play clock, so they have to move with a bit of urgency here. Looks like the Huntsmen can have plenty of time here. Potter hands it off to the left side. That's Leech once again. And it looks like he'll have enough for another Huntington first down. That looks like actually they're going to mark him just short.
Well, yeah, a couple inches it looks like from up here, Dewey.
Yeah, it's about another one of those about 1 foot to go third downs here for Huntington.
And so far, the Huntsmen have been able to move the ball pretty successfully. But there has been a couple miscues occasionally. But the last 4 or 5 plays, they've done a good job of understanding what needs to happen.
And to the left side, that's Potter once again for his second rushing touchdown of the night. Fake the handoff to Cone and just slipped out the back door to the left side.
Well, I think he fooled him there. I mean, no defender was even close at that point, Dewey.
It really wasn't contested. He probably could have bear crawled into the end zone after the fake. 3:26 to go, and Huntington out to a 14-0 lead over the Panthers. Will more than likely have a 2-point try here for Huntington. Potter going to hand it off to Cone straight ahead for the successful 2-point try. That puts the Huntsmen out to a 16-0 lead. We'll take a quick break. You're watching Ohio High School Friday Night Football right here on Southern Ohio Sports Authority, presented by OhioHealth.
Carlos. First time setting foot inside a tattoo shop. Second picture his daughter has posted to her story. Third check on his bucket list. And 4 years of cancer-free checkups at OhioHealth.
If there's not a Parmar store near you now, there will be soon. That's the slogan, and that's what we believe at Parmar stores. From groceries to gas and all the other stuff you need, Parmar has it. Download the Parmar app for even more savings, and don't forget the Parmar Rewards Card too. We also believe in being a big part of your community, so look for us at the ball game or wherever you are. Shop us today, like us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and remember, if there's not a Parmar store near you now, there will be soon.
The second rushing touchdown of the night for Noah Potter gets the Huntsmen out to a 16-point lead here with 3:26 to go in the half. A squib kick right up the middle. It's picked up right around the 25-yard line. That's number 5, Corbin Leisure on the return. And it looks like he'll get to right around the 32, 33-yard line. There is a flag on the play.
On the return. Brought down on the play by number 55, Ashton Littman, number 74, Morgan Brenheiser of the Huntsman. There is a flag on the play.
Officials trying to sort out the flag here, so we're waiting confirmation on what.
I really don't even know. There's been no movement of the ball, so I'm not 100% sure. It's going to be on the return team. That's Southeastern.
On the Panthers is the penalty.
It's a personal foul. That'll move them back, I believe, 15 yards here. So that'll take them from the 30 to, that must have been the 31 to about the 16-yard line.
Well, Dewey, we talked on break. Southeastern to really have a chance in this game, in my opinion, and we talked about this earlier, they probably have to score before half to really give themselves a good shot. Now, obviously, they're only down 14, but.
Pfeiffer looking to throw and connects with R.J. Cartwright down the Huntington sideline. About a 31-yard pass, actually exactly a 30-yard completion from Pfeiffer to Cartwright. What a play from Southeastern. I was getting ready to mention that with as run-heavy as the Panthers are, with one timeout in 3 minutes, it's going to be tough. But you pick up 30 yards and you get out of bounds. You go from the 15 to the 45 in one play. Pfeiffer back to pass once again. The pocket collapsing. Pfeiffer able to escape to the right side across the 50. He's got the first down, and he's out of bounds. That'll stop the clock at 3:02. Southeastern not done yet. Two plays, about 52-ish yards.
Well, Dewey, what an unbelievable pass and catch prior to that. And then this time he just tucks and takes off and gains another first down for the Panthers.
So 1st and 10 here from the Huntsman 43. Pfeiffer going to give it off straight ahead. That was McQuarter on the carry, stopped in the backfield. Looks like it's going to be a loss of 1 or 2 on the carry. Southeastern going to take their 3rd and final timeout of the half.
Dewey, once again, for the Huntsman, Dalton Black, a senior, number 70, with another tackle for the Huntsman.
I'll be honest, I'm a bit surprised Southeastern used their final timeout so early. The scoreboard has it at 2nd and 8, but it should be about 2nd and 12. They took away 2. It should have added 2. Looks like it's going to be right around 2nd and 12 for Southeastern coming out of the timeout here.
Well, we just seen some things out of Southeastern that it looks like they can pass the ball a little bit.
Well, yeah, I mean, and really Pfeiffer was under a bit of pressure. And it was, honestly, the throw was a bit off his back foot, and just right in the breadbasket, able to hook up with Cartwright for a 30-yard gain, and he's able to get out of bounds. That stopped the clock. And now we're at 2:50 to go. Pfeiffer looking to pass once again. He'll air it out down the field, and it's picked off by Braylon Leech. That'll give the Huntsmen the ball on what looks like their own 20-yard line. With 2:43 to go, I think Southeastern just got a bit too ahead of themselves. I think they kind of pushed the panic button a bit and, looking for what would have probably been another 30-yard completion, just a bit underthrown, and, that allowed Leach to make the interception. I really think Southeastern had enough time to kind of run what would be their normal offense and see if they can get in the end zone here, but the interception gives Huntington the ball at their own 20.
Well, I was surprised. I thought he had a lot of real estate. I thought he was just going to tuck it and run, which he did not.
Like that's Potter on the carry for the Huntsman. About a yard gained on the play. It'll bring up a 2nd and 9 for Huntington.
Well, and I have to agree with you, Dewey, and I hate to go back a little bit, but I thought Southeastern hit the panic button a little bit. I thought they still had plenty of time, even with, no timeouts to run their offense. And Huntington comes up, Braylon Leach with a big interception for the Huntsman.
And the worst part for Southeastern is that Huntington going to start off the second half with the ball. This time, Cone straight ahead. He's got some room to run. Oh, my, Cone off to the races across the 35. Nobody's going to catch him. Cone with an 80-yard rushing touchdown. That gives the Huntsmen a 22-point lead, pending the 2-point try here with 1:43 to go in the half. Well, if you're Southeastern, you really could not afford that. Is now Huntington going to have a chance to double dip here going into the second half. Only a minute 43 left. So with no timeout, not going to be a ton of time for Southeastern to do anything that would require a double-digit play drive. However, if they're able to break something off like Cone just did, then they might be able to get in the end zone. But not enough time with no timeouts for Southeastern to really put together a strong and physical drive is Cone looking for the two-point conversion. Southeastern able to make the stop. And that'll keep it at a 22-point lead for the Huntsmen.
The point after is no good. You score. New Huntsman 22.
I'll tell you, it looked like Bryce Cone just got shot out of a cannon right there. 80 yards, puts the Huntsman up 22-0.
Well, we've seen so far, we've seen Cone kind of operate more as a between the tackles guy, kind of a power back. It kind of surprised me. I didn't know he had that kind of speed, but he got into the open field, and once he got past the linebackers, that was kind of it. Nobody, not even the DBs, were able to catch him. I think it was exactly an 80-yard score for Cone.
And you'd be right on. They were on the 20-yard line, and he hit the hole, and he was gone. I mean, for a pretty athletic kid, pretty stocky kid, really turned on the burners there. The question is, can Southeastern do something here? I know we have only a minute 43 left, no timeouts for the Panthers, but can they muster up something here where they can somehow get on the board? Because I had to be honest, and like you say, Huntsmen are going to get the ball back.
Well, it starts with a good return as Cartwright will pick it up on the return, get to about their own 40. The way the return started, I wasn't sure they were going to be able to get out of their own 30 as they had some trouble getting it off the ground. So a minute 35 here. Obviously, Southeastern going to have to go a bit out of their comfort zone and pass a little more than they normally would, but with no timeouts, it's going to have to be a lot of stuff to the boundary, a lot of outs and maybe drags all the way across the field. We got 3 guys to the bottom of the screen here. I'd say this is either a rollout to the right, or they're all running drags to the left side of the field. Well, looks like they're all running deep as the pocket collapses on Pfeiffer. That's Dalton Black coming up with the sack for Huntington.
I don't know how many tackles Dalton Black has had, but it seems like, Dewey, we keep calling his name for the Huntsmen on the defensive side. If I had to guess at this point, he's probably got 7 or 8 tackles. But coming up big for the Huntsmen.
Pfeiffer just going to hand it off straight ahead. That's Trustin McQuarter on the carry. Got to pick up a 7. We'll say 8. It'll officially go down as a pickup of 9. Makes it a 3rd down and 7. This will most likely be the last play of the half, unless, of course, it's an incomplete pass. Pfeiffer looking to roll out to the right. He'll air it out downfield. And it's picked off. It's caught. That's Stansberry on the grab. I tell you what, it looked like Leisure had it, and Stansberry just took it right away from him.
Well, that's exactly what happened, Dewey. 2 guys fighting for the ball, and Stansberry comes down with it.
And this is where you'd love to have a timeout. I would most likely clock this play right here if I was Southeastern. Instead, they're going to run a play. Pfeiffer under a ton of pressure, and he'll throw it away to the right side. Doesn't look like we'll have a flag for any type of grounding, although there really wasn't anybody in the immediate area. So that takes us to 10 seconds here.
And it's pretty obvious what we're going to see here. They have a shot, depending on how quick they do. They could get 2 shots at the end zone. Really have a shot at it. More than likely to get 2 shots here.
I tell you what, I don't know what kind of angle we had on that play as we have a flag. I think it's going to be encroachment on the Huntsmen. So that'll give the Panthers 5 more yards and move them up to the 20 into the red zone.
That 5-yard penalty will make it 2nd and 5 for the Panthers.
But I would love to see that catch by Stansberry again. I called the interception. It looked like Leisure had it, but once they were coming down, Stansberry must have just taken it away from him. You saw him sit up, hold the ball up in the air, and I'm not sure the exact yardage, but that had to have been about a 35-yard gain for Southeastern. Pfeiffer under some pressure. He'll keep it himself. And that will take us to the end of the first half. Huntington out in front, 22-0. We'll step aside. You're watching Ohio High School football right here on Southern Ohio Sports Authority, presented by OhioHealth.
See everything Southern Ohio Sports Authority presented by OhioHealth has to offer by visiting our website at SOSAOhio.com for complete coverage of area athletes and teams, including game stories, features, live streams of games, player and coach interviews, nightly scores, area standings, and much more. You can even view and purchase action photos from our more than 100 galleries. That's SOSAOhio.com for the best local sports coverage around.
Buying a car from the wrong dealership can leave a bad taste in your mouth.
Yuck!
But it's our mission at Glockner to make car buying a piece of cake.
Hooray!
Maybe it's our fast, friendly sales process, or that we don't play games with the numbers we show you. You'll get a detailed proposal with full disclosure on your purchase that makes sense. No tricks or hidden fees. Plus, stop by any Glockner location for a 15-minute KBB vehicle appraisal, and we'll give you big cash for your vehicle same day, even if you don't buy one from us. And for this month only, new and pre-owned vehicle buyers get their first oil change for free. That's piece of cake car buying. We make it easy at Glockner.com.
gentlemen, please welcome to the field the Huntington Marching Band, under the direction of Kristen Cohen-Michelin, assistants Christy Fife and Mary Ellen Cox, and field commander Jaden Jackson. Tonight the band is joined by a great group of alumni band members and are ready to relive their days in the marching band. Have fun while we rock out to Crazy Little Thing called Love, Louie Louie, and our band favorite, How Far We've Come.
We welcome you back in here to Earl Knight Field, a 22-0 first half lead for the Huntsmen. Brian, give us what you got statistical-wise, or statistically speaking, from the first half here tonight.
Well, so far in the first half, and mainly it started in the second quarter, it's been all Huntsmen. Offensively, Bryce Cone nearing 100 yards for the Huntsmen, 80 yards
on one play.
On one play, had 80 yards. Touchdown run and a 2-point conversion. Noah Potter with a 4-yard touchdown for the Huntsmen and a 15-yard touchdown. A couple of 2-point conversions for him, nearing 80 yards. Defensively for the Huntsmen, Dalton Black with 9 tackles. Interesting stat here, Huntsmen with 13 first downs to Southeastern's 8. And so far it's been all Huntsmen in the first half. Again, we talked like we knew this would probably be a close game, and it's really closer than what it appears with the score. But the Huntsmen have, controlled the ball, a lot of ball control, and so forth. And a couple score updates real quick, Dewey. I'll give some halftime scores. Portsmouth West at the half over Waverly, 27-14. Logan Elm, 13-7 over Fairfield Union at the half. Paint Valley and Piketon. Paint Valley 20, Piketon 0 at the half. Willersburg 28, Minford 0 at the half.
Wow.
Yes. And originally we were going to do that game.
Yeah.
And we thought it'd probably be a little closer than that. So, again, Corehouse 29-0 over Hillsborough at the half. And the only other score I have at this time, Unionota 35-0 over Adena at the half.
Out of all those games he gave updates for, I think the closest one was the 13-7 lead for, I think it was Logan Elm and over Fairfield Union. Every other game seemed like it's a pretty wide margin between the two teams, and really that's the case here tonight. Is 22 lead for Huntington so far through one half. They'll start off with the ball here in the second. We'll see if Southeastern can try to claw back in here, but starts with solid kickoff coverage here by the Panthers. Try to get a stop in the second half here in the TWP is underway on the return. I believe that's Puckett, who's had some success returning punts as well as kicks. He's still going before eventually being taken down by a few Panthers. There is a flag on the play.
I want to interrupt here just for a second. If I'm Southeastern, I don't kick it to Puckett. He had a 55-yard punt return on the one. Another one he had, was it about 80 yards,
Yeah, he scored, but it was brought back for holding. So,
and again, there, 35, 40 yards, and it is coming back on a holding call. But again, that kid has another gear, sees the field well, and does a really nice job for the Huntsmen.
Yeah, I'd say obviously on punts you really can't punt it to anybody else. You can try to punt it away. On kickoffs, I'm probably going to the exact opposite side of the field when kicking off to the Huntsman. As Puckett has shown that he's extremely shifty, and if he gets a hole, really nobody's going to catch him. If he's even, he's leaving. And Puckett has shown that very well tonight. Here he goes again to the right side. Puckett with some room to run across the 40. One man to beat for Puckett, and he's not going to get him. Puckett, a 69-yard rushing touchdown for Quentin Puckett. And a 28-0 lead for Huntington with only 11:31 to go here in the third quarter.
Took off. He just took off there.
He's definitely one of the faster, he is probably the fastest player here tonight, probably one of the fastest players across the SVC. 2-point attempt here for the Huntsman. It's going to be Potter to the right side, and he walks in for the 2-point conversion, a 30-0 lead for the Huntsman. That will give us a running clock here in the third quarter.
And that's Noah Potter's third 2-point conversion of the evening.
I tell you what, you watch the first drive of this game, you see DJ Crocker go down, you say, Huntington might be in some trouble on the ground. But between Bryce Cone, Quentin Puckett, and really as well as Noah Potter, it's kind of been a three-headed attack for the Huntsmen. And, they've had an 80-yard, a 69-yard rushing touchdowns, and Potter has 2 on his own. It's been a pretty efficient night for Huntington on the ground.
And at this point, you're up 30. You have a running clock for the Huntsmen. And like you said, Noah Potter's run the ball really well. Quentin Puckett, Bryce Cone. You make sure you get DJ Crocker healthy. No need for him to come back in the game at this point. Get him healthy.
I'm assuming Crocker probably plays linebacker on the defensive side of things as well. So, that's somebody that you're going to want to get healthy next week. I believe they they stay here, and they'll host Paint Valley next week. So that's definitely a game you're going to want to have somebody healthy. What a tackle by Bryce Cone.
Well, and we talk about that. Obviously they host Paint Valley next week, but then you're away at Westfall the following week.
It's a winnable game. It's a game that, and obviously I know you're probably looking at the rest of their schedule here. So, this is obviously week 6, so 3 more games after this one. So it's Paint Valley, Paint Valley, Westfall, and then who do they end with? Adena?
Sorry about that. I had to cough there for a minute. And then you host Adena October 14th.
That's week 10.
That's week 9, and then you go away to Piketon. So at that point, you have to keep DJ Crocker healthy. And again, the other running backs are doing really well. Of course, quarterback Potter and Puckett and Cone, and by all means doing well. But you keep DJ Crocker healthy. At this point, they have a lot of winnable games left.
I believe 12 men on the field for Southeastern will push them back 5. It'll be a 1st and 15 from about the 29-yard line. It looks like we're going to have the first timeout of the half be a Panther timeout. Well, I think for Southeastern here, one thing that obviously you're down 30-0, so, and you have a running clock, so especially this drive, probably going to have to throw in some pass plays. We've seen them, pretty much go all pass the last 2 drives, which really they had some success doing. So if they can mix in some read options here, you don't want to get too far away from Trustin McWhorter, as he's really had a pretty decent night in regard to yards per carry. But, you know, you look for Stansberry, you look for cut right down the field on passes. They don't all have to be 30-yard bombs. Sometimes, you know, you just run a simple, you know, what we would call a zero route, and you just get it into a, you know, a player's hands and let him do, you know, what he does after that.
Number 6, Caleb Cutright on the carry, brought down on the play by number 37.
Caleb Cutright on the carry for the Panthers. Looks like he was taken down a bit behind the line of scrimmage. Bring up a 2nd and 16. But really downfield, I mean, the pass to Stansberry was probably 30-plus yards. The pass to Cartwright before that was, I think, exactly 30 yards as well. Pfeiffer going to hand it off straight ahead. I believe that was Caleb Cutright on the carry.
Well, you know, Dewey, at this point, Southeastern's kind of going to have to get out of their game scheme of running, you know, being down 30 with the clock ticking like it is. They're probably going to have to pass more.
Yeah, I mean, you really don't have much of a choice. 3rd and 9 here. Obviously down 30, so it's going to be it's 4-down territory for Southeastern. We'll see what they do. It's going to be a run up the middle again. It's Cutright. And he stopped right at the line of scrimmage. Forward progress. Probably might actually give him a yard.
Brought down by a host of Huntsmen. It's going to bring up a 4th down.
It'll be about 4th and 8, 4th and 7 here.
32, Tristan McWhorter deep to punt for the Panthers. Number 2, Quentin Puckett deep to return for the Huntsmen.
Yeah, you know, you don't like to punt when you're down as much as they are, but really with this kind of field position, you really don't have much of a choice.
And again, you had to punt it away from the Puckett. Quentin Puckett, he's and that's blocked.
Yeah. Huntington gets a piece of it. They recover right around the original line of scrimmage for the Panthers. It looks like the Huntsmen going to start their second drive of the second half right around the Southeastern 30-yard line.
The punt is partially blocked. Returned by number 37, Fenton Browning for the Huntsmen. The Huntsmen will take over 1st and 10 at the Panthers' 29-yard line.
Just a score update here. CHS McLean at the half. CHS 35, McLean 7 at the half. Just a score update.
Tell you what, there's a couple games coming up on Chillicothe's schedule that, you know, you're going to see what kind of team Chillicothe and other teams in the FAC are. You know, Chillicothe going to go up against Courthouse playing Jackson, Chillicothe playing Jackson. Those 3 matchups will show a lot as once again Puckett breaks away, this time for a 29-yard score. And a 36-0 lead for Huntington with 7:53 to go in the quarter.
And just like that, Puckett with 2 carries. His last 2 carries have been 98 yards and 2 scores.
Go ahead and take that off the board.
And I was a little quick.
So would have been a 29-yard rushing touchdown for Quentin Puckett. Just hit the hole, and, you know, once he gets going downhill, nobody's going to catch him, but a holding call will move the Huntsmen back to the Southeastern 38-yard line where they're faced with a 1st down and 20. Potter going to hand it off to Puckett on the sweep this time. Not as much luck as the last. Still looks like he picked up about 5 yards on the carry. Maybe about 4 yards. So should bring up about a 2nd and 16 here for the Huntsmen.
Huntsman fans, if you want to, at the end of the third
well, you know, Dewey, since the first quarter, it's been all Huntsman so far.
Yeah, you know, outside of Southeastern's drive, in which, you know, ended up being a turnover on downs because Chenault was just a little bit out of the back of the end zone. They really haven't been able to get a whole lot going. They've had a couple deep completions, but other than that, Huntsman have done a great job controlling really both sides of the ball. They've been able to make stops on defense, and offensively, they've really been able to run between Cone, Puckett, and Potter. They've really been able to get almost anything they want. Now faced with a 3rd down and 10.
And for the Huntsmen being on the 28-yard line, I look for them to go, obviously 2 plays here. Obviously no need to punt at this point. And with the success they've had with running, pretty easy decision for Coach Ed Yates.
Well, I tell you what, with Puckett and Cone, it really reminds me a lot of Brackman and Lentz from last week. It's kind of a boom and zoom deal here for the Huntsmen. Is this time Potter going to keep it himself for a pickup of 5?
20, Potter on the keeper, brought down on the play by number 60. Gabe Davis, number 32, Trustin.
Really, in Huntington's case, I would say Cone is a lot faster than Brackman was, or is. Lentz was probably a little bit bigger than Puckett. Puckett probably just a little bit faster, though. But 2 very similar, I don't want to say schemes, but
well, let's go with combos.
Personnels.
Let's go with combos, if you will, because it's like we're at last week's game is what we're seeing, to be honest with you. Minus the passing game that Valley had with George Arnett.
That's Puckett on the toss. He's got enough for the 1st down. We've got a flag on the play once again.
2 Quentin Puckett on the carry, brought down on the play by number 6, Caleb Cutright. There is a flag on the play.
Yeah, it might be against the Panthers. There's a sideline warning.
The flag is a sideline warning on the Panthers.
So that'll give Huntington a new set of downs here.
Play results in another Huntsman 1st down. Huntsman will have it 1st and 10.
And put them inside the 15-yard line with right around 5 minutes to go here in the 3rd quarter. We talked pregame that, and obviously didn't really have a running clock in mind, said this could be an extremely fast game. The 1st quarter in real time was only about 20 minutes. And we'll have another flag on the play. I got a feeling this time it's not going to be a warning.
There is a pre-snap penalty on the play.
It'll be unsportsmanlike conduct on Southeastern.
The penalty is a unsportsmanlike.
Well, I'll tell you, in the first half, and we talked about it, Bryce Cone obviously had an 80-yard touchdown, almost 100 yards rushing. Potter had a few touchdowns. The second half, they went with Quentin Puckett, a senior, number 2, really quick back. And you talked about it, probably one of the quicker backs in the SBC. Just really has a burst of speed, good vision of the field, really good back. In this second half so far, he's almost at 100 yards just within 3 carries. So, and one of them was called back. So
right, he could be at about, what is he at now? Like 80, 90, somewhere in that area.
Unofficially, he's about 86 yards. But again, with one being called back, he's easily over 100 yards. But again, with him, just a quick back, very quick, sees the field well. Here we got another flag, do we?
Yeah, it looked like they were going to go for another end around to Puckett. Going to be a false start on the Huntsmen. That'll move them back 5. It'll still be 1st and goal, however. Actually, I don't believe it is 1st and goal. I think it's about 1st and 12. The line to gain is somewhere around the 5-yard line. Either that or they're just holding it there. I think they're just holding the stick. I think it's 1st and goal. Well, outside the 10-yard line at the 12.
I fully expect a nice dose of Puckett and or Potter. They've done a nice job of mixing it up.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be Puckett to the right side. He's got some room and is in for what I believe is his 3rd rushing touchdown of the day. The Huntsmen 2 points away here from making it a 38-0 game.
I don't know if you go with the numbers here, Dewey. No, Potter already has 3 2-point conversions, so.
Going to be Puckett once again. It was a sweep to the right side. He tried to bring it all the way back to the other side of the line of scrimmage. Will come up about 2 yards short.
Well, Dewey, we joked earlier, about an over and under of 40, and you was worried there for a while, right? You went with the over.
It took us about 4 possessions. I think at the end of the first quarter it was only 8-0.
Yes.
So,
No, actually, that wasn't until the second quarter. It was 0-0 after the first quarter. And now it looks like the over on the 40 might be good for us.
Well, Huntington's been able to put up 36 points in essentially about a quarter and be about 4/5. So, in about 21 minutes, Huntington has scored 36 points. If you would have, if your phone would have died or you just decided to stop watching at the end of the first quarter and you're just now tuning back in, I'd say you'd be surprised looking at how many points have been scored in the last quarter. We'll say the last 2 quarters here.
Well, again, Dewey, we talked about some numbers before the game with Huntsman only averaging 14.8 points per game, but what people need to understand is they played St. Tracy and Union Oda, and obviously the top 2 teams in the SVC, so those numbers can be skewed a little bit.
The kickoff brought in by number 15, Ryan Peters, who takes it across the 50 and just short of the Huntsman 45-yard line, which is where Joey Pfeiffer and the Panther offense going to look to find Pater for the first time tonight.
And we talked earlier, Dewey. Obviously, Southeastern is going to have to air the ball out, try to get this thing under 30, try to get that clock from stop running, just to give themselves a shot. And, obviously they got to have some takeaways, things of that nature. But it's desperation time for the Panthers.
First and 10 from the Huntsman 47. Pfeiffer going to have a screen pass to the left side. That's McCorder, who breaks a couple tackles, still on his feet. It's about a 15-yard pickup. Actually, about a 14-yard pickup for McCorder. Little pitch and catch there for Southeastern, able to pick up the first down. That puts them just short of the 35-yard line.
I'll tell you, Joey Pfeiffer, a sophomore, throws a pretty good ball, pretty athletic young man, throws a really good ball. The future's bright for him, really nice athlete.
Well, we've seen him complete some tough passes here tonight. Pfeiffer, as the pocket starts collapsing, rolling out to the right side, looking for Cartwright, but just off the fingertips and incomplete.
Number 11, Joey Piper's
that'll bring up a second and 10.
7 R.J. Cartwright falls incomplete. He was defended on the play by number 5, Wesley Brown of the Huntsman.
Hey, Cartwright, it's a big kid. I mean, that's a red zone threat if I've ever seen one in the book. Got him at 6'3", 190.
And I'll tell you what, I thought he was going to come down with that ball. Again, another athletic kid for the Panthers. A big target like you talk about.
Pfeiffer looking like he wanted to throw another screen pass. Instead, just going to keep it for himself. And he just may have gotten back to the line of scrimmage.
And number 55, Ashton Lindman for the Huntsman, a senior with the tackle. A really nice job of pursuit by Ashton. Came all the way across the field and made the tackle.
I tell you, Pfeiffer had McCorder wide open on the swing pass. We've seen them obviously hook up with that earlier in this drive. I was surprised. It's kind of a security blanket type throw, and when the pressure got closer and the pocket started collapsing, I kind of figured he'd dump it off to him, but the pressure just kind of forced him to roll out to the right. Obviously, McCorder going to the left. This time going to be a pitch to the left side. That's Cartwright, who loses the football, and Huntington is all over it. The second turnover, or the second forced turnover of the night for the Huntsmen.
Well, we just talked about number 55 for the Huntsman. Ashton Lindman just made the tackle prior to that and picks up the fumble.
So the Huntsman offense will take over right around the 41-yard line. I'd say this will most likely be the last play of the third quarter here. About a 10-second difference between the play and game clock. Potter comes out under center, he'll hand it off. That's Cone straight ahead. About a 5-yard pickup.
That puts Bryce Cone at about 100 yards for the Huntsman for the evening.
I tell you what, it looked like we just had a light go out. Or maybe that was intentional, I don't know. Into the third quarter here, we'll take a quick break. You're watching Ohio High School football right here on Southern Ohio Sports Authority, presented by OhioHealth.
Michelle and her dad. Decades of dares. 1 month of learning to jump. First day doing it solo. And 2 years since starting cancer treatment at OhioHealth.
This broadcast is brought to you in part by Willie and Son Trucking. Willie and Son Trucking has been a proud supporter of local student athletes, coaches, and athletic programs throughout its history. Be sure to look out for the Shack Athlete of the Week presented by Willie and Son Trucking each week at SOSAOhio.com.
How about it, Huntsman fans? We start a new tradition here at Huntington. That's going to be a third quarter ritual here.
We welcome you back into the Myrtle Shoemaker Athletic Complex here at Huntington High School. Getting ready to kick things off here in the final quarter of play of tonight's matchup. Huntington out in front 36-0 over Southeastern. Second down and about 5 here for the Huntsmen. It's Cone on the carry. Looks like he's got about 2 or 3 yards on the carry.
Well, Dewey, here's an interesting fact. The Huntsman Division 6, Region 24, coming into tonight's game, was tied for 11th with Parkway out of Rockford there. So obviously this win, obviously helps them out. And Northwest winning last week, moving them to 3-2, obviously helps the Huntsman as they beat Northwest earlier on in the year. So Huntsman looked pretty good at this point.
Yeah, you talk about that win against Northwest. Obviously, that came in, I believe, week 3.
I believe you're correct.
So it's been about 3 weeks since that game. But between Northwest and Huntington, it's offensively, it's almost identical. Although I think Northwest may have attempted 3 or 4 passes. I don't think we've seen one tonight, unless you count that as a pass, as it's on the ground, picked up by Puckett. That'll bring up about a 4th down and 4 for the Huntsmen. But I don't believe we've seen a pass attempt from Huntington tonight as of yet. But when your run game is as efficient as it's been, there's really no need to.
Well, obviously they're around 300 yards unofficially rushing, up 36-0. Why pass at this point? I mean, at this point, no reason to do it, right?
Especially at this point, there's no reason to pass. But earlier in the game when it's, you're only up 8-0 or only up 16-0, you might see some passes. Obviously now, even the most pass-heavy team in the state, probably not going to air it out at this point. That'd be first time out of the half for the Huntsmen. Something interesting, if you head over to Southern Ohio Sports Authority's Twitter account, or more specifically Derek Webb's Twitter account, you'll see that the Gallia and Fairland game experienced somewhat of a Super Bowl blackout as the lights at the stadium completely went out. It was pitch dark. And for a second, I thought we may be seeing that here at the end of the third until I was informed that's just something they do at the end of the third quarter. But tell you what, if we were doing a live stream somewhere and all the lights shut out of nowhere, it'd be a pretty interesting event for sure.
Who was Gallia playing tonight?
Fairland.
Fairland,
I believe Gallia actually out in front, 28-14, a couple score lead. I don't even know what Gallia's mascot is. The Gallia Academy, I have no idea off the top of my head, and I should probably know.
So a reminder, fifth quarter tonight, Beulah Chapel. Fifth quarter is at Beulah Chapel tonight, so thank them for hosting it.
4th and 5 here for the Huntsmen. Going to go ahead and go for it. It's a short 5. Potter going to hand it off. That's Puckett on the carry. He's got the first down and more. He fumbles the ball. It looked like he may have been down on the field. They're going to give it to the Panthers. It's recovered by number 5. That was Corbin Leisure on the recovery.
At their own 43-yard line following the turnover.
The Blue Devils of Gallia Academy. I probably would not have guessed that if you gave me 10 guesses, but once again, I do believe they are out to a 28-14 lead over the Fairland Dragons. At least that was the score at halftime, I believe.
Well, I believe that might be Huntington's first turnover. Am I right in saying that for this evening?
Yeah, and obviously no instant replay here, but I'd say there's a pretty good chance he was down. But the call in the field was not down. Fumble, turnover. Southeastern gets the ball, and the first carry goes to Caleb Cutright.
6 Caleb Cutright on the carry, 37. Quentin Browning.
We'll have a face mask at the end of the play.
On the tackle.
So that'll add 15 more yards.
That was a face mask on the Huntsman.
And that'll put the Panthers in Huntsman territory. It's like right at the 39-yard line of Huntington.
Well, I think we've seen a couple of the face masks tonight, do we?
We've probably 2 or 3, I would say.
Following the penalty, Panthers take over 1st and 10 at the Huntsman 38-yard line.
Pfeiffer going to hand it off. It's Cutright once again, who's swallowed up. That's Dalton Black, who gets into the backfield for Huntington. Loss of 2. Loss of 1 on the play for Southeastern. That'll bring up a second. Well, about a loss of 2, actually. About a 2nd and 12.
Well, I think for tonight, that might have been Dalton Black's 10th tackle. I believe 3 for a loss. Just a man among boys, for lack of a better word. But Dalton Black having himself a good game defensively for the Huntsmen.
Cutright on the carry once again. Looks like he may have just crossed the original line of scrimmage for the Panthers. Looks like it's going to bring up a 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10 here for Southeastern as we creep closer towards the 8-minute mark here in the 4th quarter. Going to be a toss to the right side. It's Cutright once again.
6 Caleb Cutright on the carry.
He's got about 4 yards on the carry. Going to bring up about a 4th and 7. 4th and 8 here for Southeastern. Probably going to have to air it out here.
And again, we talked earlier about Joey Pfeiffer, only a sophomore, very good arm, very athletic young man. again, the future is bright for the Panthers, with him at the helm. But
that's their first timeout of the second half.
Second timeout of the half for Southeastern. At the 7:17 mark, Huntington out to a 36-0 lead over Southeastern. I'd say by now it's safe to assume that Huntington probably going to come away victorious in tonight's matchup. That'll give them their first SVC win of the season and put them at the 500 mark overall at 3-3. Southeastern going to fall to 1-5 and 0-3 in the SVC. Up next for the Huntsmen, they're going to stay here and host Paint Valley for their Week 7 matchup. As for Southeastern, they'll head back home where they'll host the Piketon Red Streaks in that Week 7 bout. 4th and 8 here from the 36-yard line. Pfeiffer in the shotgun. That's Cutright alongside him. Cutright going to carry the ball. And he'll have about 2 yards on the carry. Not enough for the first down, and another turnover on downs for Southeastern.
Cutright on the carry, brought down by number 37, Quentin Browning, number 74, Morgan Brenheiser, the Huntsman. The Huntsman will take over on downs.
Looks like for Huntington, we're going to have some clean jerseys thrown in there. Obviously, with a green jersey, it's hard to tell what's clean and what's not. But I'd say we'll be hearing some new names for Huntington here with what I presume will probably be their last drive of the game. Is we're right around 6:30 to go in the fourth quarter, a running clock. Be a handoff. No, it's going to be kept by the quarterback. Will be taken down for about a gain of 1 or 2 on the carry.
By a host of Panthers. I couldn't give you a number on that one particular. The 4 or 5 Panthers tackling right there.
That was number 19, Cameron Foltz, a sophomore on the carry for the Huntsmen.
Well, Dewey, we talked at the beginning of the game. We thought, hey, we might have a close game here, and the Huntington has just opened it up here with 36-0 with 5 minutes and 30 seconds with a running clock to go in the fourth quarter.
Foltz under center. Looks like he's going to hand it off to the left side. Ball comes out, and Southeastern trying to get on top of it, and they do. The handoff wasn't clean. I didn't get a number on who the handoff was attempted to go to, but between Foltz and whoever that running back was, just not able really, the running back never even really had it in his hands. He gets drilled by a Panther, and for a second I thought Southeastern was just going to rumble and stumble and bumble and just kick it all the way into the end zone. Eventually they were able to get on top of it. And they'll take over on the Huntsman 22-yard line, where they'll look to get in the end zone for the first time tonight, trailing the Huntsman 36-0 with 5:07 to go in the contest. That's Cutright this time, had some trouble with the handoff. I think with forward progress, he probably got back to the line of scrimmage.
6 Cutright on the carry, 55, Ashton Lindman on the tackle for the Huntsman.
Well, we were talking about that Fairland and Gallia game a little bit earlier, talking about the halftime score. Still 3:30 to go in the second quarter of that game, and we're at about 4:30 of the fourth quarter here in Huntington. So about a half's difference as Pfeiffer rolling out to the right side, airing it downfield, and incomplete. Believe he was looking for Travis Chenault in the end zone. He had Cartwright underneath. Incompletion will lead to a 3rd down and 10. as we reach the 4-minute mark here in the fourth quarter. Pfeiffer drops back to pass, and it's picked off. Number 5, that's Wesley Brown on the interception. Comes up big with the interception in the red zone for Huntington. That'll give the Huntsmen the ball with 3:37 to go on what looks like their own 10-yard line. Gonna mark it at the 9. So Brown earlier not able to get the interception on the ball to Stansberry. This time able to come up with it and get the interception. I believe that is the 3rd forced turnover by the Huntsmen in tonight's contest. Looks like Noah Potter going to stay in the game for Huntington. I'd assume he's probably the only traditional starter out there. I say that now. Cone heads out. Looks like Huntington going to take their their second time out of the half.
Yeah, it looks like you might have Puckett and Leach in there as well, but rather than that, it looks like they've...
There's Black as well.
Yes.
It's like about the whole starting O in for Huntington.
Thank you, Beulah Chapel, for all you do in our community and supporting our athletes, our programs, and hosting tonight's 5th quarter. So make sure you run up, say hi to them up there. Again, before we leave, happy birthday to our high school principal, Craig Kearns. Also, thank you, Dr. Basil, for being the game sponsor tonight. Dr. Chandra Basil. These same Huntsmen will be back in action here at the Rural H. Shoemaker Athletic Complex next week against Bainbridge. So make sure you make your way out to that.
I've never heard anybody refer to Paint Valley solely as Bainbridge before. That's definitely a first for me. 1st and 10 from their own 9. Potter gonna hand it off to Leach on the sweep. He'll be pushed out of bounds, but not before. Now they're gonna mark him about a yard short of the first down, maybe 2 yards short of the first down. Bring up a 2nd and short. Yeah, I said 2 yards. It's more like 2 feet here for Huntington. Only 5 seconds on the play clock. Huntington gonna have to get this one off too. Able to get it off in time. I think that's Cone straight ahead on the carry. Takes 2 defenders to bring him down. Cone did not want to be tackled. I think he'll come up short of the first down. That'll bring up a 3rd and short for Huntington. Well, actually, they're going to give him the first down. Must have been just a tad on forward progress. Say the Huntsmen probably only going to have to run about 2 more plays here to close tonight's game out. Going to be Cone straight ahead. And he'll go down not before a pickup of 2 or 3 on the play. Now Huntington just 1 play away from advancing to 3-3 on the season and 1-2 in league play, heading in to their Week 7 matchup right here against Paint Valley, who at halftime was ahead 20-0 as they this week hosting Westfall. Say it's safe to assume Paint Valley probably winning that game quite easily as Potter knees it down, and that should just about do it here from Huntington. The Huntsmen, victors over Southeastern, a 36-0 win for the Huntsmen.
So make sure you make your way out to support young men, young ladies. Begin your final score right here, Huntsman 36, the Panthers 0.
And that will do it here from the Merle Shoemaker Athletic Complex. Huntington comes away with the 36-0 win over Southeastern. We'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll have all of the stats as well as a game summary from tonight's matchup. You're watching Ohio High School football right here on Southern Ohio Sports Authority, presented by OhioHealth.
Carlos. First time setting foot inside a tattoo shop. Second picture his daughter has posted to her story. Third check on his bucket list. And 4 years of cancer-free checkups at OhioHealth.
If there's not a Par-Mar store near you now, there will be soon. That's the slogan, and that's what we believe at Par-Mar stores. From groceries to gas and all the other stuff you need, Par-Mar has it. Download the Par-Mar app for even more savings, and don't forget the Par-Mar rewards card too. We also believe in being a big part of your community, so look for us at the ball game or wherever you are. Shop us today, like us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and remember, if there's not a Par-Mar store near you now, there will be soon.
We welcome you back in here to Earl Knight Field. Wow. We welcome you back in here to Earl Knight Field here at Huntington High School. A 36-0 win for the Huntsmen. Brian, what do you got for us for tonight's contest?
Well, tonight it was all Huntington, winning 36-0. Offensively, we talked about it earlier with DJ Crocker going out earlier. We're like, hey, what are Huntsman going to do here? And Bryce Cone stepped up, Noah Potter and Quentin Puckett on the offensive side. Bryce Cone's with a little over 100 yards rushing unofficially. Also added in an 80-yard touchdown run. Noah Potter, close to 80 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns, 3 2-point conversions. Quentin Puckett, all in the second half for the most part, had a little over 100 yards rushing. Also added a 69-yard touchdown run and a 12-yard touchdown run. Defensively, there was a few names we called all night. Obviously, Dalton Black, a senior, with 10-plus tackles for the game. And also number 55, also a senior, Ashton Lindman, seemed to be all over the field for the Huntsmen. First down-wise, again, unofficially, the Huntsmen with about 18 first downs to Southeastern's 9. And, Dewey, we talked early, Southeastern very first offensive set goes down. Gets within about a yard of scoring a touchdown. The Huntsmen stopping, and from there, starting in the second quarter, the Huntsmen scored 22 points in the second quarter, 12 in the third quarter for your final of 36-0. Defensively, also Leech and Brown, Wesley Brown, had an interception for the Huntsmen. So again, when we start looking at some different stats here, Huntington way above 24 points to be exact over their points per game. But again, when you play teams like Union Oda and Zane Trace, those numbers can be skewed. But tonight they put it all together for a 36-0 final for the Huntsmen over the Southeastern Panthers.
And I believe with that'll do it here from Huntington High School. Once again, the final, Huntington 36, Southeastern 0. Have a good rest of your night.